Before going to college, I asked my mom to help with tuition and I'd find my own way for accommodation and general money. She said no and that I should just work harder. Fine, I got 2 jobs and earned a scholarship in my second year. I had to pay for my own party for my graduation because she said she wouldn't. When I got offered a job across the country, I asked her to assist me with just the first month's rent and I'd pay her back when I got paid. She said she couldn't and I had to let the job go, despite it being a golden turkey given to me on a silver plate. But whatever, I managed to get another job closer after 6 months of unemployment. All this time she had a savings account with money she'd been saving and what my late stepdad left her. There's a lot of money in there. It wouldn't have rendered her destitute to have helped me on at least one of these occasions. Still, it's her money and I'm really not an entitled kid, so I never brought it up, even though I've always known about the account and let it go after she said no. She used to say it was for her retirement and I completely respected that. She's been dating Dave for about 5 years now, and recently Dave got in trouble with the law and needed bail money. A lot of money. 6 figures. And my mom paid for it. Not only that, but she's going to pay for his lawyer. All from the saving account. When I heard this, I got upset because what in the world? She didn't even consider helping me out but didn't waste a second hopping to the bank for her troublesome boyfriend. I told her she was a crap mom and unsupportive, then we had a back and forth where she called me ungrateful and entitled, so am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. I firmly believe that when you have a child, you're financially tied to that person for life, not until you turn 18. It would be one thing if your mom was saving that money for retirement, but she made it clear that she wasn't. She was saving it for some deadbeat loser who allegedly did something so awful that his bail was in the 6 figures. You're not entitled to ask for help from your mom. Your mom is the idiot for repeatedly refusing to help her child with very reasonable expenses and then turning around and throwing it away for some guy. I think the dude scammed OP's mommy. It's going to be glorious when you can tell her, "I told you so," smugly when she realizes she wasted all her money on that flea bag. Even more so when she inevitably comes to you with her hand out. Tell her she should have just worked harder and she'll need to get a job if she needs money that badly. If he jumps bail, please update. That would be the perfect cherry on top. Wow, honey, your mom had 6 figures in savings and used it to bail out a loser instead of her daughter's tuition. She can't be bothered with, what, $5,000 or less for moving? First month expenses for her child so they can succeed in their career? Even without the boyfriend being in trouble, I can't fathom the mindset of a parent that wouldn't pay 1 month of rent for their child to move for an excellent job, knowing full well that they can easily do it and will get the money back. That's some crappy mothering. You're calling it as you see it. OP, you sound smart and capable. However, your mother has issues apparently by putting her terrible boyfriend ahead of her daughter and daughter's education. I'm speechless. It might be time to distance yourself from someone who has failed you repeatedly and clearly does not have your best interests at heart. You'll probably hear from her again when she needs money for a nursing home, and then it'll be your turn to tell her she should have worked harder and she sounds entitled. I, 22 female, best friend John, 23 male, and I have been friends since we were kids. We were very close as kids and we had a fake wedding when we were 7 and 8. In high school we recreated fake wedding pics and he had one of these pics in his wallet. John has distanced himself from me since he got with his girlfriend, Dinah, 23, around 2 years ago. We still hang out, but he always makes time for Dinah first instead of me. The only way I can see him now is if we go grab coffee once every few days, but other than that, he won't come to my house when we used to have sleepovers and movie nights, and won't invite me to his house either. I feel neglected and hurt because we've been inseparable since we were small kids. A couple of days ago, I grabbed coffee with him at a coffee shop. When he opened his wallet to grab his card and pay, I noticed he'd put a pic of him and Dinah where he had our fake wedding pic. I asked him about it and pointed out how I noticed, to which he only said, "What about it?" I was like, "Really? Why did you have to take our picture out and replace it with him and Dinah?" He said, "Dinah is his girlfriend and he doesn't understand why I'm making such a big deal about it." I reminded him she might be his girlfriend, but he couldn't just throw me away. I've been his best friend since primary school, and my pic existed in his wallet first, and he threw it away to replace me with someone he knew significantly less. He got annoyed and told me that once I stop being an immature, annoying brat, he'll talk to me again. Until then, I better leave him to his peace, because he's not dealing with my childish tantrum. Am I the idiot here? Holy entitled guacamole, Batman, you are the idiot. You're not his wife or girlfriend. His partner should come before you regardless of your history. Dinah is his number one, no matter what you went through, and she always will be. Questioning her importance won't be a good look. Please apologize. And in the future, please avoid leaving the impression that you're trying to sabotage John and Dinah's relationship. Not a good look. The stunt you pulled on John was stupid. Right? I'd be furious if my boyfriend was having sleepovers with another woman and had a picture of them together at the first spot in his wallet. What the heck? Does OP expect to be able to sleep with him when they're both married too? Bye hun, gonna cuddle with my platonic friend all night. She sounds like a jealous girlfriend that doesn't accept that the guy isn't actually her partner. She believed they would eventually get together and be married, not fake. Yeah, the whole fake wedding at 7 and recreated the photo in high school just screams she thought it would all be real one day. She describes wanting an emotional affair with him by placing a greater priority on her over his girlfriend. That's not a friendship. OP, you are the idiot. It doesn't matter who knew him first, it's not a competition. For all you know, she could be his future wife. If I were him, I'd cut contact with you solely because you don't respect his relationship. Unfortunately, not all friendships last into adulthood, and you just made it exponentially easier for him to walk away from this friendship by refusing to admit you're jealous that all the attention he used to give you now goes to someone else. My wife's sister is getting married at some point and is working out the specific details. She and I get along fine, and our daughter, pre-tween, adores her and always asks to visit, and she's happily babysat when in a pinch. She recently dropped by and asked if we'd be alright with our daughter being her flower girl. We were both happy she asked, but I did have some concerns. Our daughter is low-needs autistic, meaning she usually copes fine with most situations, but sometimes she needs extra help. One of the reasons I was concerned about the whole idea was because I knew it would involve 3 things that my daughter has difficulty with: being in fancy clothes, getting a lot of attention from a lot of people, performing a task while being watched. Either way, I didn't want to assume anything and said we'd talk to her about it. We did talk to her that day, and she had a lot of questions about it, which we answered. In the end, we showed her the video of my in-laws' wedding where my wife was the flower girl to give her an idea. At that point, I wasn't shocked when she said she didn't want to do it, but my wife brushed it off saying, "Oh, you'll do fine," so I pulled her aside to discuss. She said at this point, it'd be rude to make her sister find someone else, and besides, it's nothing to worry about. She even said that if she does cry, people will think it's funny or cute, and I might be the idiot for telling her that was a messed up thing to say. She even argued that this would be good exposure therapy for her, but she finally agreed when I wouldn't back down, provided I told my sister-in-law. I did, and she completely understood. She even felt guilty when I explained why. Anyway, all was good. She had a backup from one of her fiancé's cousins, so it was all fine. My wife thinks she was just being polite and is angry with me for causing drama by catering to a child. Am I the idiot for not making my daughter the flower girl at my sister-in-law's wedding? Not the idiot. I'm actually a bit concerned about your wife's treatment of your child. Just because she's young doesn't mean she can't make her own choices. She's plenty old enough to know what she does and doesn't want to do, and forcing her to do something that even an adult may be uncomfortable doing is cruel. I'm glad you stood your ground on this one. Catering to a child? Finding it cute or funny that a child cries from being terrified? Also, exposure therapy? Heck no. Most of the time it would just be traumatic for the person. Dude, is your wife this obtuse and gross all the time? Watch that woman and start saving up for your daughter's therapy. I'm glad you stood up for your daughter. I'm shocked your sister-in-law has more empathy and understanding toward your daughter's needs than your own wife. Yeah, I think we need to reinforce to people that therapy is carried out by professionals. If you aren't an expert, all that will happen is that you will worsen the situation. You don't try to carry out DIY heart surgery on your dog, so don't try DIY exposure therapy on your daughter. I know, right? I couldn't believe that was her mum's view, not even sister-in-law. I have my young niece and nephew as flower girl and boy, and I made it super clear to their parents that if they just weren't feeling it on the day, not to worry about it, bring some clothes. You know they will be okay in as backup, and they can do as much as they're up for. My nephew got a bit overwhelmed by the end of the day, more from the number of people than being flower boy, and had lost most of his outfit, but hey, niece wore the outfit for 3 days straight, lol. Mum is nuts for not having compassion and thinking it's funny for her to be overwhelmed. It seems a bit like Mum really liked the idea of the daughter doing it, or being the kind of kid who liked doing it. putting her own wants, being the mum of the cute flower girl, over her daughter. My 40s female, ex 40s male, left our daughter Zoe and me very abruptly 6 years ago and moved from the US to another country with his affair partner. His mom, my ex-mother-in-law, was initially sympathetic. Still, when AP got pregnant, she moved to their country to be closer to her grandchild. He and AP later got married and had another baby. It felt like a betrayal from Zoe's point of view. She lost her dad and her grandma. She would visit her dad on some school breaks and part of summer and see her grandma there, and we keep in contact via FaceTime, but it was different. However, by that point, I was marrying my second husband, whose family adores Zoe, so that softened the blow. We also moved to a different state. My ex passed away in 2021, which was devastating for all of us. Initially, my mother-in-law stayed on to support her young grandsons and my ex's poor grieving wife. But without my ex there are some immigration and visa issues, so she's choosing to move back to the US. She called me and said she'd decided to move to our state to be closer to Zoe, now a tween. She has no other connections here. I said we'll all be happy to invite you to birthdays and maybe get together for Christmas Eve. But our family is busy these days, and Zoe is about to enter her teenage years, so she should consider that. She started talking about wanting to spend a lot more time one-on-one with my daughter. I said that she lost the right to demand one-on-one access years ago, and she should bear in mind that Zoe was ambivalent at best about her, and with her entering her teen years, that probably wasn't going to change. Mother-in-law said she was grieving, and this was her late son's only daughter and her blood. I said she had all but abandoned Zoe just as her son had. She couldn't expect to just pick up where she'd left off, and that Zoe now had step-grandparents who played a part in her life that mother-in-law had effectively left vacant. I said she could move where she wanted, that was her choice, but don't count on this relationship. She was very upset and accused me of trying to erase Zoe's father and paternal family to make room for her stepfather and stepfamily, and she said that I'm alienating Zoe from her. For example, she's upset that I told Zoe in passing she was having visa issues months ago because it interferes with her "I'm coming back just for you" narrative. And the truth is that I've always made sure Zoe is nice and civil, but even before my ex died, I haven't done much to encourage Zoe to deepen the relationship with her grandma. It was hard for her to visit her dad and see my ex-mother-in-law being her half-sibling's grandma. She also has complex feelings towards her half-siblings and stepmom. She knows mother-in-law is moving back, but I didn't tell her that mother-in-law wants to move here yet. As a parent, I don't know if it would be healthy for her, especially since I don't think mother-in-law can be trusted to stick around if she gets a better offer. But maybe it wasn't my place to tell her not to move. Not the idiot. Zoe is not an accessory that can be shoved to the back of the drawer and then pulled back out when grandma wants. Had ex-mother-in-law's son not died, she would never have contemplated moving back nor making any real effort to be closer to Zoe. Zoe is not her consolation prize now that her son has died, and visa issues mean she can't stay with his second family. This is precisely what I was going to say. If the ex hadn't died, then the mother-in-law wouldn't have made any effort to get close to Zoe, probably ever. She was fine leaving her blood behind when she left and didn't get to pop back into your daughter's life as her consolation prize, no matter how much she's grieving. That's not your daughter's cross to bear. Your boundaries, all for your daughter's sake, are more than reasonable. She's not thinking at all about what's best for your daughter. Also, by doing this, ex-mother-in-law is now abandoning the other kids exactly the same way she left Zoe. They spent their entire lives up to this point with her around and present, and now, all of a sudden, she's ghosting them the same way Zoe got ghosted years ago. Grandma didn't change. My girlfriend, 21, and I, 21 male, were at my parents' house for dinner. Before dinner, my girlfriend was inside talking to my parents while I was playing ball with my brothers, 18, teen, and tween. We got kind of bored, so we decided to play our own game that we made up a few years ago. We live in a 2-story house where the awning juts out into the backyard from the house, so there's a bit of roof jutting outwards. This is important because what we would do is all 4 of us toss balls up there, wait for them to roll down, and then try to catch them. Of course, we would usually end up jostling a bit, but it's all in good fun. So we're all just having a merry old time when my girlfriend comes out 15 minutes later and starts yelling at all of us, including me, her boyfriend. She's treating us all like children, and I'm annoyed. Like my parents got mad at us for doing that before, but that's okay because they're our parents. But I'm not about to be lectured at by some chick, so I got heated and told her to shut up. Now she's saying that I was disrespectful, as if she wasn't the outsider who was trying to boss us around like she could tell us what to do. I've been noticeably distant after I told her to apologise to my brothers and me for making us feel weird in our own house, like it's our damn tradition, not hers, so she doesn't get a say, but she said no. Am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend to shut up? I'm not about to be lectured at by some chick. I'm sorry, is she a stranger to you? LOL. That language would be gross anyway. It makes me not trust your version of events at all. Was she even really yelling at you? Or is that your interpretation of some chick that needs to shut up? I hope you enjoy being single. Bruh, I highly doubt your girlfriend wants to date a child, and especially not a snotty brat like you who calls her some chick and the outsider. It's not a tradition, just a dumb game you made with your siblings. By dumb, I mean that tossing the ball onto the roof on purpose can damage the roof, get stuck, etc., and you totally embarrassed yourself while she was there with your parents. If anyone needs to apologise, it's you, and I hope you don't and won't be able to sweet-talk her into giving you a chance again. I have a hard time believing you're in your 20s, but if you are, you have some growing up to do. Obviously, you are the idiot.